Aloha, and welcome to Wind in Your Hair. Authentic talk, real breakthroughs in love and life, guaranteed no BS, and the life you want most, starting right now. Aloha, and welcome to Wind in Her Hair. I'm Anna, your host, and today's a solo episode. We will be talking about chemistry and how chemistry is the most dangerous thing you can trust, and it's also why you keep picking the wrong ones. I'm going to walk you through 9 segments. The last one will be how to break this so that you can have better relationships and stop wasting your time. And I have my notes in front of me as usual. So most people don't trust the wrong people, but they trust the wrong feeling. And we're going to go into how our brains are wired and patterns and trauma bonding. I'm going to break down why chemistry feels so real and so strong and so convincing, but it keeps leading you into the same dead-end relationships. And if you've ever said, I felt right at first and perfect, but ended up being hurtful and confusing and draining, then this will finally connect the dots for you. So we're going to learn why chemistry is not the same as compatibility and the main differences and how to really strive for compatibility and how your nervous system drives your attraction and to stop listening to it. The real reason you keep repeating the same relationship patterns and what trauma bonding actually looks like in real life, and how to choose differently this time around. Chemistry is the most dangerous thing that you trust because it keeps leading you to the same outcomes. It's not just that you keep attracting the wrong people, because we are all going to attract the wrong people at one point or another. We're going to attract bench warmers. And I'm talking to the high value people. If you're watching this or listening to this, I have no doubt you're a high value person because you're investing the time into your emotional, mental, spiritual, education, and well-being. Benchwarmers are not going to sit around and take the time to listen to personal development type stuff. They're going to be sitting on their asses watching TV. And so it's not that we keep attracting the wrong people. And I used to say this quite often. Oh, I keep attracting the wrong people. That's fine. Attract the wrong people. But where we go wrong is the fact that we keep the wrong people. We need to stop keeping them. We need to break up a lot faster, or even get to the point where we're not really breaking up, but we're breaking it off. Even in the first date, the second date, we need to learn to listen to our gut more and stop paying attention to chemistry as the driving factor, the driving decision maker. You don't have a bad picker, you have a bad filter. And that filter, it's based on chemistry. I'm speaking to the people who don't want to waste time. If you don't want to waste time and you're really looking for your person, then we have to really look at ourselves. We need to look at these filters. We need to pay attention to why we keep signing up for the same lessons in a different body. And we need to pay attention to the patterns. Let's jump into segment 1. Like I said, I'll be walking you through 9 segments, and the last one will be talking about how to break the chemistry addiction. What you think chemistry is. Now, it's hard to have a good relationship without chemistry, but it's really hard to have a good relationship without compatibility. So chemistry is fast emotional connection. I have felt this in literally every relationship I've ever been in. A serious relationship that I've dated for weeks, more than weeks at a time. It's immediate depth and it's a strong physical pull. Chemistry is instant connection and intensity and excitement and it's obsession and it's feeling like this is different. I want to reframe that for you. What we need to wrap our heads around is the fact that that is not connection. That's activation. So chemistry is not connection and it's not compatibility. It's activation. So I want you to know every time you go on a date from here on out, you will probably feel activated. The butterflies, the excitement, the instant pull, the depth. That's chemistry. I want you to tell yourself while you're sitting there having a glass of wine or having dinner and you're feeling that chemistry, I want you to look back to remember this podcast and think, okay, I remember Anna told me that this chemistry is activation. It doesn't mean it's compatibility. Huge difference. You can have chemistry without compatibility and that relationship will suffer. It's not sustainable. You can have a relationship that's compatible without chemistry. It'll still go the distance, but it's not going to be as fun. The most ideal is to have a relationship with both compatibility and chemistry. And even if you have compatibility, you can cultivate the attraction and the chemistry. You can. But this is what you need to remember. If you have a relationship with attraction or chemistry, it's very hard to cultivate the compatibility. Just because it's fast doesn't mean it's right. So just because you're quickly attracted to somebody, it doesn't mean that it's a right thing or a good thing. And just because it's intense, it doesn't automatically translate to depth. And this is what I got wrong in the past when I was dating before my last boyfriend. Just because it feels familiar, it doesn't mean it's aligned. So if you take anything from this podcast, I want you to remember that when you feel the chemistry, that's just activation. That doesn't mean it's compatibility. And just because it's familiar, it doesn't mean it's aligned. So chemistry is recognition. It's not compatibility. So you're recognizing, I love how I'm feeling right now, but that doesn't mean you're compatible with that person. It doesn't mean you're aligned. For example, you can be emotionally invested by date 2 or 3, especially if you've already gotten physical, which I want to just go down a little rabbit trail for a minute about that, because what you're calling chemistry is already shaping your decisions before you even know who this person is. Let's talk about the dangers of getting physical with somebody. Now, a lot of you are probably going to roll your eyes, but this is just something to really think about because we all mature, we all grow out of our childish ways. And as we get older, we tend to want to do things better and differently and more efficiently. And some of us grow weary of wasting time on unaligned, incompatible relationships. And I've made the mistake of getting physical too quickly and letting people use my body when they haven't earned access to it, they haven't earned trust. And women specifically, your body is sacred. It's precious. Your energy and your body is precious. Don't just give it away to anybody. And I've made a commitment now since I've been celibate. And that's because I'm done just giving this precious gift away to somebody who hasn't earned it, who's not committed to me. And so I decided the next person is going to be because we're in a committed relationship together. And I've made the mistake of getting physical too fast, and that clouds your judgment. It distracts you from the real goal of alignment. It confuses things. It muddies the water. Sex is meant to bond people on a very deep, intimate level. It's a gift from God. Sex is amazing. But if you use it as a tool to bond when you're not aligned or compatible, you're going to get yourself into a lot of trouble and you're going to waste time. And especially women, they get really attached. I would highly recommend waiting. It's going to serve you. It's going to be in your benefit. It's going to be in your best interest. And men, if you can stay strong and not try to get her into bed too quickly, that's a sign of character and integrity and strength and self-control. It's very admirable. It's very, very attractive. Okay, moving on. Segment 2, attraction versus compatibility. Attraction pulls you in, and compatibility sustains the relationship. That's why it's so good to have both. And I know there's stories at times where you're not attracted to that person at all, but you realize you're compatible. And once you learn to work through your nervous system and move past this isn't familiar, it seems boring, then you can understand, oh, we are compatible, and that person becomes attractive to you normally. Compatibility sustains the relationship. So compatibility is good communication, emotional regulation, common interests. Some examples of high chemistry and poor compatibility are you can have a strong attraction, but shitty communication. That's not sustainable. That's not going to take you the long haul. A good relationship is built on direct and honest communication. Or you can have strong chemistry but no emotional availability. If you end up with a dismissive avoidant, somebody who's not available emotionally, you are going to suffer. You're going to cause them to suffer because you want something from them they're not capable of giving. And you will eventually break up because humans were made for connection. So if you force this thing, you're just going to end up wasting time. If you don't let go of what's not meant for you, then you're not going to make room for what is meant for you. If you keep holding on to something that you're not aligned with, God can't give you the thing that He knows you need. So you can feel everything and still have nothing that actually works. Chemistry gets you in the door, for sure, but it's also what blinds you to whether you're compatible or not, whether you should stay or not. And we don't want to be blinded anymore. We want to open up our eyes. We want to have wisdom and make decisions out of maturity and security. Not financial security, but being securely attached. That means we don't have to be in a relationship just to be seen or feel important or valued, or to not be alone, or just because everybody else is in a relationship. We're not in high school anymore. If you're not in a relationship, okay, you're not in a relationship. That shouldn't be anything to even spend too much time dwelling on. It's just not the season. And there are seasons where people should not be in relationships. Did you ever think about that? How important it is for people to spend seasons of solitude and aloneness so they can work on themselves and heal? Because if you always have someone in your life, the healing that really can be done when you're alone can't be done when you're with somebody else. And I experienced that in Nashville. The best season of my life. So important to be able to be alone. And that is also a sign of strength and maturity. And that is also very attractive. If I met a guy that I was attracted to and I really liked and we were even maybe compatible, but he had just broken up with somebody, I would not date him at all. I don't care if we're perfectly aligned and we're attracted. I will refuse to date him. I'm going to say, hey, go work on yourself and be alone for 6 months. And if you can be alone for 6 months and not have to jump into the relationship, then I see you're a man of integrity and strength and maturity and emotional availability. But if you jump right back into a relationship, well, I feel sorry for her and I'm glad that I dodged a bullet. Because if you can't be alone and you have to be in a relationship, you have issues. Segment 3, your nervous system, which is why we do what we do. We ignore the nervous system way too often because you can't see it, but we need to pay attention. We are wired for what is safe and comfortable and familiar. We need to remember that because just because it feels right, it doesn't mean it is right. We are drawn to what feels known and what feels safe, even if it isn't safe. And our brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's fake. So we could be in a very toxic relationship and it feels familiar to us, right? And it's like our body is like pulling us towards that because it's safe and familiar, but it's not healthy. So what we have to do is reprogram our brain to a new safe, a new familiar. And saying, brain, I know you've been trying to protect me all these years, but I've got it now. I've got it. I'm creating a new safe for my life, and safe now might look boring to you, but it's the best thing for me where I can grow and heal and thrive. For example, healthy feels boring to a lot of people. That was surely me. And chaos feels exciting. And most people are raised in dysfunctional homes. For example, why people argue and yell at each other for hours on end. It's kind of exciting because you think you're going to win. There's something in us that wants to win, that wants to have the last word, that wants to have our way, and to dominate and to control. That's kind of exciting, even though it's so freaking toxic. That chaos feels exciting and maybe familiar to you. It doesn't mean that it's healthy. It doesn't mean that it's right. It doesn't mean that you're compatible. You have to do the job of rewiring your brain and saying, I know for our entire life, you're talking to your brain. I know we thought this was safe and familiar, but it's not anymore. I want to create a new norm. I want to create a new legacy, a legacy of peace and calm and emotional availability. So your body is choosing what it recognizes, and you have to stop it and say, no, I know this is what we normally recognize, but not anymore, buddy. Not anymore, sister. We're not going there anymore. If we have to, we're choosing boring and safe so that we can heal and so we can have better relationships and get out of these toxic patterns and cycles that we have allowed ourselves to walk into time after time. So when you trust chemistry, you're really trusting your past, right? Segment 4, pattern recognition. Patterns are very, very important because patterns are what get us into the same problems time after time. We have to break those patterns, and the only person that's going to do it is you. So you're not choosing different people, really. You're just choosing the same emotional experience in a different body. The same emotional experience in a different body. And that's why I used to say, I keep attracting narcissists. That's just me attracting the same emotional experience in a different body. Thinking almost that it was their fault, but it really is my fault because I kept them in my life. So let's break it down deeper. You think the pattern might be, I keep meeting the wrong type of person. But the real pattern is you keep responding to the same traits. And you keep tolerating the same behaviors. We attract and keep in our life what we tolerate. So if you tolerate shitty behavior, you're going to keep these people in your life. I know it's so simple, but a lot of people get this wrong and they don't spend enough time just sitting with themselves and thinking, why do I keep ending up in the same situation? And you keep staying past the same red flag. So quick story, I stayed and I married the man that I saw numerous red flags, but I stayed anyway. And I downgraded them to yellow flags and made excuses and justified. And 13, really 16 years later when he finally signed, I was finally educated and set free. Only because I decided and I realized nothing was going to change and I wasn't with a builder. I was the only one building. And usually a builder, if they're not paying attention to the patterns and what I just walked you through about chemistry and compatibility, you will attract a non-builder because the non-builders want somebody who's going to do all the freaking work. And you have to be able to recognize, I love the chemistry, I love the attraction, but clearly we're not compatible and I no longer date people's potential. So this isn't going to work. So I'm moving on to the next. Some examples. Different person, same lack of emotional availability. Different personality, same lack of consistency, follow through, keeping their word, meaning what they say, saying what they mean. Different story, but same confusion about where you stand in the relationship. You feel like you're disposable. You're wondering if you have to be better, do more, say less in order to earn their approval and their love and their acceptance. Love should be a free gift given to you like it was given to us from Jesus. We didn't do anything to earn his love. He just gave it to us. And when you meet somebody that you're compatible with, who is truly a good, healthy person, they're going to love you and you're not going to have to work your ass off for that love. And if I can be more direct with you, I would say that you ignore the early signs because the chemistry is strong. That's what I did. I saw the signs and I ignored them just because the chemistry was so much fun and distracting and different. And you think that because you have chemistry, it's right. Don't let the chemistry distract you. You rationalize behavior because it feels good when it's good. Just because it feels good, it doesn't mean it's good. You might need to grow up and stop acting like a child and start realizing just because it feels good, just because it tastes good, doesn't mean it's good. So you wait for potential instead of looking at the patterns. It's so much easier to start dating someone and look at patterns than close your eyes and just fantasize about their potential. It's time to put those childish ways behind us. And don't look at potential at all, but look at the patterns. Look at the data around you. Look at the facts. You're not stuck in bad luck. You're stuck in a familiar cycle. First of all, I don't believe in luck at all. Luck, what people call, is just preparation meets opportunity. Luck is really just an opportunity comes into your life that you're prepared for. But if an opportunity comes in and you're not prepared for it, that opportunity is going to pass you by and you're going to miss out on it. So when people say good luck, it's kind of coming from a place of powerlessness, and we're not powerless. So let's say you meet someone new and it feels exciting and intense and different. Within weeks, though, you're anxious, you're overthinking, and you're questioning because the chemistry was a distraction. It was like the curtain, right? And then a few weeks go by when the person, kind of reveals their true self and the true lack of alignment and compatibility. We have this chemistry and this attraction, maybe even the sex, but nothing else really feels right. And now I kind of feel stuck and sucked into this relationship because it feels good. That's why I say break up a lot faster. That's why I say look at the patterns and the data and the facts right away. For example, I was on a date. I'm not dating, but I was on a date. It's hard to explain. And I saw a few facts or patterns or behaviors. And how you see someone do one thing is how they do everything, right? So, number one, he tried to convince me to drink, which didn't sit right with me because he knew clearly I wasn't drinking. There was a couple other things that happened where I saw the pattern and I thought, wow, this is just the beginning. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What's the other 90% of the iceberg? If he's already doing this on the first date, what's going to happen 3 weeks, 3 months down the road? And another guy, terrible form of communication. And I just thought, I don't want to deal with that. And I don't have to. And I can't change that person. The coach in me, the one who wants to help you level up, I've learned a valuable lesson this year. I can't help it. It's in my DNA. I want to point out things to people that they're not seeing. I want to give them another perspective that's going to help them level up. I want to help people get unstuck. But not everybody deserves my energy. And that was an epiphany to me. And this guy who had a terrible form of communication via text even, I just thought I could point this out to him. And if he wants to continue a friendship with me, he can work on his communication. And I just thought, what? He's 40-something years old. Do I need to be teaching him how to communicate? No, I don't want to take on a project. But I realized I don't need to point this out to him. He can continue not communicating that way, and I'll move on. So just something to consider. When you see somebody doing something that doesn't sit right with you, that's kind of a big deal, especially down the road if it never changes. Don't feel like you have to settle. Keep your standards high. Then you don't have to deal with that shit. And basically it's a child in a man's body. You say, how did I end up here again? Wait, what keeps happening? Well, because you paid attention to the chemistry and not the alignment, and you let it distract you. And now look what happened. So you have to stop before you get to that point. This is why chemistry is dangerous. It doesn't just attract you. It overrides your judgment and keeps you in the pattern. Segment 5, trauma bonding. I didn't know anything about trauma bonding when I first got married. And I've kind of see it now that I was a little bit trauma bonding because I was a single mother. My son was 3. and I was in survival mode, and life was really, really hard for me. I had my real estate license in Hawaii. I was waiting tables. This was 20 years ago. And I met somebody who was in the army, and he had a stable life and income, and he said he was a Christian and had a relationship with God. But looking back now, I was not healthy emotionally, mentally, or spiritually. I let him into our lives, even though we weren't compatible nor aligned. And I paid for it big time, emotionally and mentally, just hollowed me out. Of course, now I have 2 children from it, so that's amazing. Let's talk about trauma bonding. The definition is emotional attachment formed through inconsistency and intermittent reward. But trauma bonding, in like normal terms, is you're bonding with somebody through trauma. Dun, dun, dun. So profound. Basically, I tell people never date somebody when you're broke or they're broke, when either of you are going through grief or just broke up with someone or in the middle of a divorce, or anything really, really heavy happening in your life. I'm just saying, you might think, oh, this person needs me. Well, you're trying to rescue them and they want to be rescued, and that's never off to a good start. For example, hot and cold behavior is inconsistent and intermittent rewarding. They pull away, then they come back stronger, and you're chasing the good version. It's like when you train puppies. You give them little treats for good behavior, and then you stop, and then they want to do the good behavior. Sometimes you don't give them treats. Sometimes you just pat them on the head, and that's rewarding them intermittently. Well, humans do this too. And sometimes people don't even know they're doing this, but these are the narcissists. You're not connected when this happens, you're hooked. Think about that. When you meet someone through a trauma bond, you don't connect, really. You're hooked because you're trying to rescue them, which makes you feel good. And don't think that you're Mr. Nice Guy, because Mr. Nice Guy is incredibly insecure and helps people because it makes him feel good. It's trying to fill a need that's lacking in his life. There's a difference between being Mr. Nice Guy, and I'm putting those in quotes, and just being a healthy-minded, generous person who's helping for no other purpose, no ulterior motive, and he gets nothing in return, no strings attached, other than the goodness of his heart. So think about that. If you're rescuing her, you want something in return. You're doing it with strings attached. This is why getting into relationships during a breakup or divorce or grief is a bad idea. The best thing for you and that person, the best thing, is to stay alone and heal. Learn the lessons that you're supposed to learn. Get strong on your own, which is very attractive. It's not attractive to be needy, to need to be in a relationship so you're not alone, or so you need somebody's emotional and moral support. Like, you have God, and you have everything you need inside you. You don't need someone else. You don't. You are absolutely fine by yourself, and maybe no one's ever told you that. You are absolutely fine by yourself, and you are even better because you're in God's hands. I mean, if you've put yourself in God's hands, He has big shoulders, and He wants to heal you and set you free and help you and love you. So this is why it's a bad idea to get into a relationship during a divorce, a breakup, or grief. It's because you're vulnerable. If you're the person who's going through the trauma, you're vulnerable. Sometimes you accept behavior that is not in your best interest, but you're accepting it because it's attention and because it feels better than the pain that you're currently feeling. Or you want relief, and you're not focused on alignment. You're like, just get me through these next few months. We should not be rescuing anybody. God is our rescuer. He's our defender. He's our avenger, period. Let Him rescue you. He's never going to have strings attached. He has no ulterior motives, but you are His child, and He loves you, and He wants you to walk in your purpose and healing and love and joy. Don't be duped by the chemistry or that feeling of support when you're going through grief or the bonding over shared pain. You're wondering probably what's wrong with that. Like, we both just lost our parents and we're bonding. Well, you'll see. I'm not saying 100% of people experience this, but most people experience this because most people are not on a healing journey and are not really healed from most of their trauma and their childhood wounds. Pain makes people bond fast, but not well. It makes you bond fast, which can be dangerous, especially when you throw in the chemistry factor, but it doesn't make you bond well. Remember, when you feel like something's urgent or fast, that actually should be a red flag. The standard is to be healed and grounded and whole. Choose someone in the same season. Choose somebody who has been broken up for a good 6 months, who is not experiencing any grief, who is not broke, but who is like walking in their purpose or providing for themselves. Chemistry is strongest when you're at your weakest. And that's where it does the most damage. So if you are going through trauma and you meet someone you have high chemistry with, you're at a weak point, and that is when it does the most damage and it's the most dangerous. Segment 6, high performers. All my male clients are high performers. They're kicking ass at business. They are so successful and they are failing in their relationships. And there's a connection there. So they're strategic in business, but they're reactive in love. And they tend to be reactive in love. They're emotionally unregulated. They're ungrounded because they try to use the same principles in relationships that they're winning with in business, which is never going to work because a relationship, especially a woman's heart, is so extreme opposite from the startup that you just succeeded in. In fact, I have a client who realized he kept treating relationships like they were business transactions and he failed miserably. But some people, it's really hard for them to accept this worked my whole life in business, has got to work in this relationship. Well, you can clearly see the patterns and the facts and the data. It's not working. So what are you going to do about it? Stop treating a relationship like it's a business transaction and realize you're dealing with a woman's heart. You have to deal with it slowly and gently and safely. Create this little nest of emotional safety, set the heart in there, and just give it TLC every single day. You know those little animals that you put seeds in and then they grow on your kitchen counter? If you don't water that every day, it's going to shrivel up and die. You've got to treat that little growing thing. I don't know what they call them. You've got to treat it with tenderness and love and care and attention every single day. You've got to water it every single day. Otherwise, you're going to lose it. So you trust your instincts, but your instincts in relationships haven't been trained. You need to compartmentalize your instincts in business and your tactics in business. You need to compartmentalize those. Put them in the drawer, shut the drawer, and leave it alone. And open up a new drawer with new skills, new tools, new tactics for how to attract and keep a woman's heart. Two totally different skill sets. And most men who are killing it in business don't have the skill set to handle and keep a woman's heart. So you trust chemistry like it's intuition when it's actually conditioning. You've conditioned yourself. And you think it's your intuition, but it's not. And a lot of men that I've interacted with as well, they seem like they know women, but they don't. And that's why they're single. Segment 7, healthy attraction. Healthy attraction is calm, it's clear, it's grounded, it's consistent. There's no anxiety. There's no guessing. There's no game playing. There's no testing each other. I hate it when people test each other. Instead of just being direct and asking a question, they think, I'm going to do this and see how they respond. And if they do A, then great. If they do B, then they failed. Healthy attraction, we think is boring, but it's really not boring. It's just unfamiliar. If you're not familiar with consistent and calm and grounded, you're going to think it's boring, but you're going to be missing out and you will continue to struggle. And you keep looking for the relationship in the wrong pond because you're looking for excitement and chemistry. And you're going to waste your life away looking in the wrong pond. You've got to go over to the boring pond, in quotes, and realize, oh, I just need to recondition, rewire my brain to understand that this isn't boring. This is just safe. This is better. This is healthy. This is sustainable. Everything else that I knew before, that's not sustainable. And because it doesn't feel like your usual chemistry, you overlook the very thing that could actually work. So all I'm saying is give it a chance. And I've had to do the same thing myself. I've really had to have a conversation and say, okay, Anna, now that you know this, you have owned the fact that every relationship has always started off with high chemistry. Luckily, the last relationship was a really good relationship. We weren't just high chemistry. We were compatible and aligned. Segment 8, wealth analogy. So I want to reference Warren Buffett because I've been listening to a lot of his content lately and I've become a wealth builder. I've become a better steward of my money, tithing, investing, saving, paying off debt. I'm doing things a lot differently than how I was raised. It reminds me, as I'm listening to Warren Buffett, he talks about how wealth is built slowly. And a lot of people get it wrong because people chase the adrenaline rush and the dopamine and the excitement and the intermittent rewards, but they fail because they're chasing the thing that does not build wealth. And there's a few exceptions. It made me think of relationships, how good relationships are built slowly, patiently, over time. And it's kind of like doing the boring, monotonous things of every day. You know, there may not be excitement. People get tired. People get into their routines. People go through seasons. But if you stay consistent in your compatibility and your alignment and you put each other first and your focus is not divided and you make time for each other and you make each other priority by making things still exciting in bed and out of bed, and paying attention to each other's hobbies and passions and pouring into one another, adding value and energy and peace and joy to the lives and not being self-centered or self-absorbed. But when you do those things, that is what builds a healthy relationship. That is what builds wealth, is doing the boring tasks day after day. And if you listen to Warren Buffett, he talks a lot about how building wealth is really boring and people don't know that. And so relationships are the same. For example, day trading is like emotional dating. I don't do day trading, but I've learned about it and it's kind of exciting. It gives you that adrenaline rush. It's like betting or gambling. That's emotional dating. Whereas investing long term, that is intentional dating. Because it's not just about emotions, it's about being intentional. And that's what's going to build your investment long term. And I just did a post yesterday about, are you dating an investment or a bill? Because a good woman, she's an investment. You're going to pour into her not just financially, but emotionally, mentally, spiritually, physically. You're going to invest in her dreams and her passions, and you're going to help her walk in her purpose. You're going to build her up and champion her. And because of you, she's going to be becoming a better person. She's going to be leveling up. And then she's able to, in turn, add all this value and energy and peace and joy to your life. So you're going to reap the benefits of this investment. And it's not going to be easy. You're going to have to be intentional and purposeful and make sacrifices. But it's worth it because the money that you're pouring into her is not just going to disappear and be all for nothing. Whereas the girl, she's a bill. She's going to cost you. and you'll have nothing to show for it but a lack of focus, a lack of energy, a lack of peace, and a lack of finances, because most bench warmer women, the girls, they don't invest in themselves. They just spend their money on material items and vacations and clothes and cars and homes and all this stuff. It's going to all burn in the end. Where are you putting your heart? Where are you putting your investment? Into souls or into things? Because that woman, that bill is not going to come up just at once. It's going to show up in pieces. And she doesn't just break you overnight. She will slowly drain you of your very essence and your very peace and your very soul. So are you dating a bill, which is just a girl, a bench warmer who's not going to invest in herself, who's not going to try to level up, who's not going to add any value or peace to your life? She's just going to add chaos and confusion and gossip and guilt and anxiety. Your standards are going to drop. Your peace is going to drop. So you have to ask yourself, am I becoming a better person dating this person, or just more tolerant? Is she adding to my life, or is she subtracting from my life? So are you dating an investment or a bill? And that's what Warren Buffett also says, is that when you don't know how to invest long-term and how to wait patiently and not withdraw it, but just watch it grow, it will compound over time. And you don't build wealth through adrenaline. You don't build love through chaos or trauma bonds or rescuing or fixing or dating someone's potential. Chemistry is the adrenaline, and it's the exact thing keeping you broke in love. Last segment, let's talk about how to break it. Number one, stop trusting chemistry as your decision maker. Go on your date, feel the chemistry, the excitement, the butterflies, acknowledge it, own it. This feels great. Very attracted to this person. But let it stop there. Compartmentalize the chemistry and then open the drawer with the compatibility and the alignment and the patterns and the data. And don't think emotionally at this point. Think strategically, logically, factually, mentally, not emotionally. The emotional goes in the drawer with the chemistry, because you don't want to be distracted. You don't want to be duped. You don't want to be tricked. You want to think clearly at this point. So as your coach, I'm telling you, shut the chemistry emotion drawer and pull out the other drawer that's going to help you decide clearly and maturely and correctly. So stop trusting chemistry as your decision maker, and pause when something feels intense or fast or urgent. Listen to your gut. I didn't listen to my gut for most of my life. And you could also refer to the gut as the Holy Spirit, the spirit of intuition that says, you know what? There's something off about this. I just don't feel right. And don't ever discount that. Don't ever justify it or explain it away or say, I'm being sensitive. No, you're not. There's something off. So listen to it. Watch consistency over time. Patterns are better than feelings, because feelings are not always accurate, but patterns, they're always accurate. And choose alignment intentionally. Values, lifestyle, emotional availability, emotional regulation, respect, the way somebody talks to you. Do they make little jabs at your expense? Are they sarcastic all the time? Do they talk over you? That's the tip of the iceberg. If they're treating you that way in the beginning, it's going to get so much worse over time. You don't need more sparks, you need more stability. It's time. I don't know if you're listening to this and you're in your 40s, 50s, or 60s, I mean, even 30s. It's time to grow up. You see the patterns. You keep ending up in fruitless relationships. It's time. It's time to stop prioritizing the sparks and the chemistry. And if you want something real and long-lasting and fulfilling and satisfying, then it's time to make different decisions, to break the unhealthy patterns. Break up faster. If chemistry has been your compass, it's time to start questioning it. And I'm so excited for you. The next time you go on a date, I want you to question the chemistry. And then I want you to pay attention to the patterns and check to see if there's any alignment or compatibility. That's your homework. All right? If you want to reach out to me on social media, go ahead. Let me know how your experiment went. In closing, if chemistry has been your compass, it might be why you're still stuck. I mean, it could be a variety of reasons. The thing that feels right isn't always right for you. The thing that feels right isn't always right for you. Remember that. You got to look at the facts. You got to look at the patterns. Your next level in love isn't about finding someone better. You're not looking for someone better. It's about you becoming better and choosing differently. You're going to start choosing differently. I really, really hope that you found some value in this episode. And if you are an expert in some area and you want to be on my podcast, reach out to me via email. And until next week, I want you to go get some wind in your hair. And that means push yourself outside your comfort zone and do something brave and scary and bold. Because growth doesn't come through comfort. Growth comes through being uncomfortable. And again, pushing yourself outside that comfort zone. Go eat alone. Go listen to live music alone. Go listen to a concert alone. Go dancing alone. Go line dancing alone. I do these things all the time, every week by myself. And it's totally normal. I don't even feel like anything's off. It's just normal. And so I encourage you to do the same. Get comfortable being alone for a season. You won't regret it. And I will see you next week. Aloha.